Kathy Engelbert, this is what happens when you don't protect your superstar.
The WNBA has a problem. Guys, there's ratings for a couple of these games that are eye-poppingly bad.
Did the WNBA just run a real-time stress test of life without Caitlin Clark? Because the results are ugly and the fallout is just getting started. We're not talking about a soft dip or a midsummer lull. We're talking about a cliff. And the way the league is handling her injury timeline, the officiating, and the messaging, it's pouring grease on the slope.
Kathy Engelbert, this is what happens when you don't protect your superstar. This is what happens when you don't protect your cash cow. This is what happens when you allow gambling to run rampant in your league. I just had to throw that in there because that's what's taking place. This is what happens when you have referees call fouls one way for one individual and not the other way for the other individual. If Caitlin Clark had the same whistle that Paige Beckers had, Caitlin Clark would still be playing till this day. The Indiana Fever would be a top three seed right now.
Let's start where the wheels began to wobble. All-Star Weekend. No Caitlin. The league leaned into a pay us what you owe us moment. The broadcast leaned into a victory lap headline, and the audience leaned away. Viewership fell 36% compared to last year's showcase with Caitlin in the mix, yet some outlets tried to spin a triple-digit jump by comparing to 2023 before she even arrived. That's not a trend. That's a sleight of hand. Fans aren't dumb. The narrative boomeranged, and instead of growth, what stuck was, you're hiding the ball. Add a flat on-court product and a t-shirt message that aged like milk in the sun, and the internet did what it does. Roasted the league for pretending the room wasn't on fire.
Y'all cannot come out there with those shirts of pay us what you owe us and then do that in the All-Star game.
But the All-Star blip wasn't the bottom. The real tell came from the matchups the league scheduled like they were the NBA's Christmas Day slate. Fever versus Sky. We all know why. If you stop people on the street and ask them to name 2 WNBA players, 9 times out of 10 you'll hear Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. So the league booked 5 of those. Smart. Until fate stepped in.
The WNBA has a problem. Because it seems with Caitlin Clark out, not only are the Indiana Fever games losing their steam, not only is the marquee matchup against the Chicago Sky losing its steam, that's the marquee matchup this league has to offer casual fans. You go up to anybody in the streets, name 2 WNBA players. One is always going to be Caitlin Clark, and the second is usually going to be Angel Reese. Maybe you'll get a Sabrina, maybe. But usually it's going to be those 2.
Game 1. 2.7 million average on ABC, peaking over 3.1 million. Massive. Then came the attrition. 1.9 million for the rematch, 1.5 million for the third meeting, and with both stars sidelined, 1.31 million.
1.31 million? We have officially regressed. We have went way backwards, which is slightly above the average national TV viewership for Fever games this year. But it also is the least watched of the 8 Chicago and Indiana games since 2020.
That's not a wobble, that's a halving. Worse, it's essentially the same number the Fever pulled in a preseason exhibition against Brazil. When your supposed crown jewel rivalry tracks like a tune-up game, casuals have left the building.
1.4 million people checked out. That's not a trend that the WNBA is excited about. That's a trend that Kathy Engelbert would say, hey, Fever, hey, Lynn Dunn, hey, Kelly, hey, Amber, can you guys start dangling that Caitlin Clark return like you used to do? You know, before Caitlin Clark gave a statement and you guys were hands off. Can you guys, just string them along a little bit more? We want to get these ratings back up.
Pause here and ask the real question. If this league has momentum everywhere, why do the numbers bleed the second Caitlin isn't on the floor? Because the product still hasn't figured out how to keep the casual fan entertained without its lightning rod. You can't say, we're so much bigger than one player, and then deliver ratings that argue the exact opposite. That's not hate. That's math. Now, the injury piece. The timeline has felt foggy. Game time decisions floating next to Caitlin's name, while her coach admits she's not in full practice. Social clips of her looking fine, even juggling a soccer ball, feed optimism. Until you remember, looking fine is not game shape, and game shape is not playoff, physical, daily back-to-back grind. Reporters around the team keep saying several weeks, and several doesn't mean one. We're inside the final month of the regular season. If she needs a full week of full practices just to be cleared, you're suddenly staring at a scenario where the most valuable player to your ratings might be shut down until next year.
Scott Agnes is one of the people named in Christine Brennan's book as basically an in-the-know person that is around the team, so he knows more than we do. And someone said, just can't wait till Cece's back. She's the most dynamic electric player in the WNBA. Great job, Lexi. Have patience at least several more weeks. So everyone's kind of expecting the 22nd as a return. Because they're playing, I think that they play on like the 18th and the 22nd. They have a 4-day break. I think everyone's expecting 22nd as a return. Like several more weeks and you're into the playoffs. Like Stephanie White was saying that she's not done anything with the team. Like she's not even shooting around with the team.
So why not just say that? Because the second you declare she's out for the season, you tank tickets, travel plans, and national windows overnight. People will swap flights, families will dump seats, affiliates will start sweating make goods. The game time decision, carrot, keeps hope alive just enough to keep the turnstiles moving. Is that fair to fans? Debatable. Is it understandable as a business decision? Completely. But markets don't care about intention, they care about signals. And right now, the signal to viewers is mixed, which means patience wears thin.
Aces Sunday, 180,000 views. Dream vs. Mercury Sunday, 160,000 views. Now, if the growth is as substantial as the ladies in the Players Association want you to believe, if the growth is as big as the ladies in the WNBA Players Association want you to believe, as the old guard wants you to believe, these 180s, these 160s would be at least 300,000. At least 300,000 on NBA TV, right?
Zoom out to the rest of the slate, and the picture gets harsher. National games without Caitlin have slipped into the kind of numbers that would make a midweek baseball broadcast blush. 180,000 here, 160,000 there. On paper, those are unrivaled, all right, just not in the way the league wants. And if you think it's just the platform, tell that to every casual sports fan who streams whatever the algorithm shoves in front of them. If they wanted it, they'd find it. They're not finding it. Why? Start with the one thing even diehards whisper: watchability. When casuals peek in, they need frictionless entertainment, pace, flow, shot making, star whistle, story. Too many games feel like half-court sludge, particularly when officiating becomes the headline. Consistency is the oxygen of star-driven leagues. If your best draw doesn't get a fair whistle, viewers don't complain about the refs, they change the channel. You heard active players say it out loud this year. Certain rookies get star calls, Caitlin doesn't. Whether you agree or not, the perception is lodged, and perception is the currency of casual attention.
I love Paige to death. Do not get me wrong. I think she's a hell of a player and would love to play with her one day. But those refs were giving her every freaking whistle last night. Like, you literally couldn't touch her. And that shit is so annoying to me. And if you're gonna do that, then give it to our guards. I just hate the inconsistencies. Or we know she's a good rookie and she's gonna get some whistles, but to get the treatment she got last night was crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Called.
Well, she's gonna be one of those players that she's already gonna be a GOAT. She's gonna be a Hall of Famer. Everyone knows that she's freaking hell of a player, but getting some of those whistles already, oh my, I couldn't.
Then there's the elephant on the scorer's table. Pay us what you owe us. Look, players advocating for better economics is fair, but if that message lands the same week the most bankable star sits in street clothes and the product sputters on the biggest stage, the optics are brutal. Negotiations are about leverage. Ratings are leverage. Attendance is leverage. And right now, with the league's marquee missing and the schedule wobbling, the leverage meter is dipping. You can set your jaw for a strike in the next CBA, but if your bargaining chip is, trust us, the growth is there, and the screen says otherwise, owners will wait you out.
Between the two rivals, I can tell you a big problem right now. Watchability. These games are not fun to watch right now. And honestly, some of the games with Caitlin Clark were not fun to watch. We were talking about this the other day, and Stephanie White her offensive style, that basketball's play style, it's hard. It's much harder to watch on TV than Christy Sides was. I'm just being honest. It's not. It's not nearly as entertaining of basketball as we saw last year.
Worse, a work stoppage risks nuking the fragile momentum you do have. The NHL and MLB survived strikes because they sat on a century-deep cushion. The WNBA is standing on a folding chair.
Either way, if you're the WNBA, you cannot afford a strike. You cannot afford a canceled season. This league doesn't have enough of a dedicated fan base to survive a canceled season. Think about what's happening with the WNBA right now. They're in the latter stages of the regular season. No one's really talking about it. Outside of winged wieners flying on the court, no one's talking about the WNBA.
Now, before anyone twists this into tear it all down, here's the real point. This is fixable, but only if the league stops pretending the problem is audience patience and admits the problem is product clarity. Clarity about officiating standards, clarity about injury timelines, clarity about who the league is building around and why. Step 1. A public, consistent officiating charter. Not a memo leaked to beat writers. A segment-ready explainer with film. This is a hand check. This is legal physicality. This is a flagrant. Here's how we'll call it for everyone, star or rookie. Post it, reinforce it. Mic up the refs once a week so fans hear the rationale in real time. Most people don't need every call to go their way. They need to understand why a call exists. Right now, it feels random, and randomness kills trust. Step 2, embrace radical transparency on injuries. If a star is out for, quote, several weeks, say it. Offer refunds or credits for affected ticket holders. Yes, you'll take a short-term bath, but you'll buy long-term credibility. And credibility is the only thing that converts casuals into fans when the highlight reels quiet down. If an athlete's health is genuinely day-to-day, fine. Don't tease, contextualize. She's cleared for 50% practice. Here's what that means. Treat your audience like adults. They'll respect you for it.
So I think that's been like the hardest part, has just been like the stop and go of everything. Like, and also like with the type of injuries that I've dealt with, like there's no real, it's not like 6 weeks. All right, you're coming back for the Connecticut Sun game on August.
How you feel
or whatever. It's like, how do you feel? Like, and even like when I have been back, like I don't know how I'm gonna feel the next day after playing, like when you're dealing with like these type of injuries.
Step 3, schedule design around narratives, not just names. You can't throw the same rivalry at viewers 5 times and expect it to feel fresh when injuries hit. Build mini arcs, road trip packages, conference gauntlets, showcase Sundays with tight windows that ladder into a studio show. ESPN didn't become king by airing random inventory. They serialized sports. Give casuals a reason to return next week beyond maybe the star plays.
Let's take a look right here. First time these two teams matched up this season. 2.7 million average views on ABC. Peaked with 3.1 million viewers. Up 115% versus last year's season average on ABC.
Step 4. The most uncomfortable. Decide whether you're going to be a star-driven league or a parity-driven league and build accordingly. The NBA chose stars, the NFL chose parity. The WNBA is trying to straddle both, and it's splitting the audience's focus. If Caitlyn is your gravity well, and the numbers keep screaming that she is, you protect the well. That doesn't mean favoritism. It means you acknowledge reality. Stars carry the casuals, and casuals pay for everyone's upside.
If I'm their coach, she needs to practice for at minimum a week, at the minimum, she needs to be doing everything in practice for at least a week before you throw her back in the mix. Now you're going to throw her back in the mix when all of these teams are at peak condition, and we already know what happens when Caitlin Clark gets back out on the court. Teams play defense on her differently. They play extra physical with her. There's all of these different factors that come into play. That's why I'm sort of leaning to the point of maybe Caitlin should be out for the rest of the season. Maybe this season is just done for her. Maybe it doesn't make sense for her to come back into the mix if the Fever aren't contenders. Are the Fever contenders at this point? I'm just not so sure. Do you risk another injury that can again compound and turn into something else down the line?
All of this circles back to Caitlin's return. She admitted to Sue Bird that pressure made her rush back once before. Her mom told her to slow down. That's the right call. If you're the Fever, you don't toss her into a playoff-style street fight without a full week of live physical practice. If you're the league, you don't use game time decision as a marketing strategy. You set a clear bar, defend it publicly, and model a healthier standard for every star who follows. Because the calendar is not your friend. NFL preseason is already humming. College football's around the corner. Sports fans have endless options. If your product asks them to hold out a little longer, they won't. They'll watch something else and forget to come back. The irony, this season could still end with a win. If the Fever sneak into the playoffs, if Caitlin returns healthy with a week of full practice under her belt, if officiating gets even marginally tighter, you could get a late season spike that reframes the narrative from free fall to survive the storm. That's the opportunity window. It's narrow, but it exists. What does success look like from here? It's not just Caitlin returns and ratings pop. Like, that's a sugar high. Success looks like this. The league proves it can hold an audience when stars sit because fans trust the product. Stars still spike the numbers, but the floor rises. That floor is built on clarity, consistency, and television that respects attention. It's built on being honest when your number one engine needs weeks, not days. It's built on a whistle that's the same in Connecticut as it is in Indiana. It's built on broadcasting that makes a Tuesday feel like an event, not inventory. None of that requires a miracle. It requires leadership. Commissioner on camera with film. Coaches aligned on pace and aesthetics. Players who get that leverage grows when fans feel looped in, not lectured at. And yes, it requires protecting your cash cow without apologizing for it. Every major league does it. The NBA schedules around Steph and LeBron. The NFL flexes Mahomes in a prime time. You protect what draws people in because that gives every other player more room to grow. Right now, the warning lights are blinking. All-star dip, marquee rivalry halved. League-wide windows slipping into blink and you missed it. Injury updates that feel like a marketing tactic. Optionality in the sports calendar that doesn't care about your intentions. You can call that negativity, or you can call it a roadmap. The cliff shows you where the guardrails belong. So here's where I land. If Caitlin Clark needs several more weeks, give them to her. Announce it with clarity. Offer make goods. Then fix the controllables. Officiating standards, broadcast pacing, narrative scheduling. If you do that, the bandwagon will be waiting when she's ready. If you don't, the casuals will keep walking. And the next CBA conversation will feel less like negotiation and more like triage. The WNBA isn't condemned to be a one-player league, but it is on the clock to prove it can be more. Because when you take away the lightning rod and the lights go dim, you learn what's left. Right now, that answer is uncomfortable. Make the changes, and the next time your brightest star sits, the roof won't cave in. It'll hold. And that's how you turn a free fall into a foundation.